this is the mini make for 3D stitched heart cards. You will need a selection of bright and colourful papers. You either need heavyweight paper or medium weight card. I'm using a gold luster thick origami paper and a handmade marbled paper I made myself. You also need a large heart paper punch, a sharp needle, thread of your choice, a selection of cardstock. I've got some sized squares and also some DLs here, a sponge, a card creaser, a ruler and pencil, and if you want to add some sparkle to your cards, stick-on gems are brilliant. To make this project even quicker and simpler, a sewing machine is really handy, but not essential. The first thing to do is choose your cardstock. This will dictate how many hearts you can add onto your card. A larger card could accommodate 3 or more hearts in a vertical or horizontal fashion. I find that square cards are best with single hearts. You can go as wild as you like for colour choice, although I like to use coordinating colours. Contrasting can be really bright and cheerful as well. Let's get crafting, shall we? Once you've chosen your 2 pieces of coordinating or contrasting card, use the punch to punch out one of each heart of each. It's really important to choose the best part of the paper that you want to use. I chose here to use the more subtle tones within this piece of paper. The next stage is to take your 2 hearts and fold them in half vertically. You can use your finger to do this, but if you want a really clean, crisp crease, use a card creaser along the edge. If you don't have a card creaser, a clean plastic ruler's edge will do the perfect job, but anything smooth and plastic can do it, such as a Pritt stick. Decide which way round you want your card to open, making sure that it opens the right way. It's important to bear this in mind when you take on the next few steps. Take your 2 hearts, place them in a central position on your cardstock, and using your pencil, make a small single dot mark at the point of the heart and the point of the indent of the heart. This is going to give us some guidance when we take on the next step of punching the holes. Decide which heart will be at the top and which will be at the bottom when placed and sewn together on the card. This can be as important as choosing your cardstock, as you'll see the top one more clearly and the bottom will be just an accent underneath. Grab your sponge and your needle . Open out your card so that the half with the 2 markings is placed on top of the sponge. And using your needle, punch 2 holes through the 2 points that you made as markings. Now align your heart just as you did when you drew the marks, making sure that your fold is straight. We're going to punch through the 2 pieces of heart, so if you're finding that you can't do this in a straight way, grab a pencil and mark the crease of the top heart. This will give you a guideline to punch down so that you can do it in a straight line. Reposition the hearts and using your needle, punch holes through all 3 layers of the 2 hearts and the cardstock underneath. The holes should be 5mm apart in an even line from the top to the bottom of the crease. When you've finished punching your holes, turn over the hearts and check that the punching has gone all the way through the cardstock. If not, go back and repeat. If you're using thin sewing thread, you'll want to double over your thread in your needle so that you've got a thickness that can be seen when sewing your card. If you're using a thicker thread, such as embroidery thread, there'll be no need to do this, as it will really show up and look beautiful on your card. We're going to create an anchor stitch now, and we're going to do this without holding the hearts against the card. So push up through the first hole from the inside of the card to the front of the card. Pull through enough that you've got a long thread on the other side, but leave enough so that you've got your thumb able to hold on to the tails of the thread so that you don't lose it when pulling through. Push back down in the second hole and come back through to the reverse of the card. Then go back up in the first hole and back down the second, as you did before. Repeat this a couple of times so that you create a good anchor for attaching your hearts onto your card. We're now going to start stitching the hearts onto the card base. Push up through the first hole and then using your needle push back through the second hole on the card but the first hole on the heart. So your needle will go up through the first hole on the card base and down through the first hole on the heart and the second hole on the card, pulling through to the back and holding taut to hold your heart onto your card. I'm now going to secure the hearts using a back stitch. If you're unsure how to do a back stitch, I'm going to show you in a second. If not, go ahead and use it, or you can use a running stitch if you find that easier. Go back up through the third hole on the card base and the second hole on the heart, pulling taut again to create a nice taut join between the hearts and the card, and then back down through the first hole. So at each time we're going up through one hole along and back down through one hole behind, up through one hole along, back through the hole behind. So up through the second, back down through the first, up through the third, down through the second, up through the fourth, down through the third, and so on. Do backstitch all the way along until you reach the end of the crease. Now that we've completed the back stitch along the crease of the hearts, we need to anchor in the final bit of the stitching just so that it doesn't come loose and so that it's got a really tight fixture to the back card. So you're going to go up through the final hole on the backing card and back down through the last hole on the heart. And then you're going to come back up through the final hole on the backing card and back down on the final hole on the heart. Repeat this a couple of times just to make sure it's a really secure stitch. Once you've created your anchor stitch, snip off your excess thread just to neaten it up. Choosing a really sharp pair of scissors is a good idea, and not ones your husband has used to cut wire in the garden, as I later found out. And your hearts are finished. Fold up the flaps just to create a nice fluffy look and a 3D heart. And there you have it, your finished card. Now you could leave your card as simple as that, or you can add embellishments, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the options in just a minute. To add some extra interest to your card, there's lots of different options. You could add some stick-on gems in different places. Simply down the centre line of the stitching if you're not happy with how your stitching looks. Around the outside of the heart can also draw the eye into your heart, as well as in the corners just to add a little bit of definition. Here you'll see I added simple gems to the corners just to highlight the colours within the heart. If you're not happy with your stitching and how it looks on the back, or you just don't like the way it looks showing, there's another option. Punch out an extra heart and apply it to the back along the stitching line. It's easy to line up using the stitching as the centre point for your heart. This covers it up nicely and adds an extra detail on the inside of your card. If you want to go all out for your card, stick down the underneath heart, and this stops you from having any white underneath. I added a hand-drawn stitching detail onto this card just with a plain black pen. I thought it brought out the stitching detail on the centre and really liked it, and I added sparkly gems to the corners just like the other. On this card, I attached the hearts onto a plain piece of card, which are then cut into a square and layered on top of matching marbled paper such as the hearts. This was then stuck onto the card to create a beautiful matted effect. It really makes the heart stand out. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this Craft Drops mini makes. Please check out the website for more free video tutorials and tag me on Twitter and Facebook with all your lovely makes that you've used the tutorials for. Once again, I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Bye!